Ta-da! Welcome to another session from the Wise Asylum. I've not prepared anything, as usual, so I'm getting pretty shit at this now. I'm getting crapper by the day. Anyway, I did work hard the last few days and put that one up for yesterday, so which I thought we'd have a look at first and just to reappraise ourselves with it, just so that a couple of points that I didn't make very clear, I don't think. So yeah, I'm still having trouble with this Streamlabs. So I can't show you my browsers when I'm looking at them because it just doesn't move. For some reason, I still don't know why. It's probably something I'm doing wrong, but I haven't seen it yet. How are you? Excuse me. So, how are you doing on this rainy weekend? I think that's the summer over. Hello, Slipknot. How are you doing? How's it going? This rainy day. And it's supposed to be summertime. What's happened to climate change? Did it only last 2 days? Is that it? Evening, Paul. Howdy doody. So, interesting. So, if you've watched the video I put up this weekend and put up yesterday, this comes from a guy called Claudio Salvigi. Or Salvigi, I don't know. I might be thinking that wrong. So this guy, in my opinion, is somebody you want to have a look at. He's expert in astrology, and of course I've always been into that. Many years ago I studied it, did my own chart, etc, etc. But short of seeing what when I was born, I really didn't pursue it any further. Maybe I should have done, because looking at this guy, I think I've looked at about 7 of his videos. The one I took the info off for the video yesterday, I believe he's about 2 years old. So in my opinion, this guy needs a lot more of your attention, because he's giving out good info, very good info, especially in relation to another side to the Phoenix. So you've got Jason and his archaics, and he's pulled out the physical, huge event that he's calling the Phoenix cycle. He says that runs on 138 years. But when you get into astrology, the Phoenix rising occurs 4 times in each age. This is basically when Mother Mary or Isis, whichever name you want to give it or give her, comes back to basically rescue her offspring, those that are ready, those that are in the right frequency and moving themselves up for this cleansing that began in 2020, and she actually starts to rise April the 15th, or between April the 13th and 15th, 2023, so that's next year. So have I ever heard people talk about this other measure with Jason? I don't think he quite understands that it's a completely different format, but then I don't know. I can't speak for him. But this is specific to how astrology works, and that this 558-year Phoenix Rising event is the true Easter. The East, because this sets off in the East, that the Sphinx is the old line demarking the last 558 years ago rising of Mother Mary, as it were. Isis, whichever name, it's the same deity, the Queen of Heaven. So I thought we'd have a little look at that as well, because that is exceptionally interesting data. More so, I would suggest, because it's actually personal to you and what you should be doing. So we got the overall view of potential from Jason, but on a personal level, because I think if you just fix to Jason, you'd be looking to, oh, am I going to survive, blah, blah, blah. Although he makes it clear, you've just got a frequency. Well, this guy, Claudio, honestly puts you right on the personal side of this. How we're supposed to be dealing with this cleansing that began in 2020. Now, once you start taking this data on board, you can sort of see how the elite are mimicking this. So what is a natural progression, i.e. that we're having a new sun being born, which is why they're blocking it out, to try and prevent us from getting this new energy from this new sun that's changing. And it is changing. You see it's got a halo, you can see lines in it. I've seen images where there's another body just to the right hand top corner of it. I've tried to photograph it myself, but I can't pick up the other, whatever it is, the other body that's shining. So we are entering the Phoenix Rising, but in relation to you as an individual, it's all the religious, or basically what the religious texts are obfuscating. And what Claudio actually does is go into the Egyptian, the hieroglyphs is going into the Egyptian star calendar, as it were, and pretty much a bit like we did a couple of years ago when I presented to you the inversion of the tree of life, and we've got everybody operating on a contrary, left, right, up, down. The same situation has been applied to this data, the astrological knowledge as well, so that we don't get it correct. So there's things missing. If you take Claudio's data, which means when you're reading these charts, you're not getting the full picture, or in relation to being a navigator of your own avatar, they've removed this information from us, because basically when you get into the nitty-gritty of that, once you learn to understand this astrological calendar as it should be, with the correct calendar as well, because obviously they've changed the calendar in times, to obfuscate this so we're not on it, because the last thing they want, because of course they're all about enslaving the populations, so they had to remove the very equipment that would have helped you to navigate your own way through this life. And what Claudio, if I'm seeing it right, is bringing to the fore is this tool we need, again, to basically navigate our way through this place based entirely on the astrological chart relative to you and to where everything is at any given minute of the day. So you're looking at these, your magi, etc. These are the people that know this knowledge and are operating into its absolute, so that they're getting the results they want because they're applying the correct astral projection of what it is they want to bring into manifestation, but they're doing it specifically at the right time, the planets are in the right order, your moon's in the right order, etc., etc. So Claudio, as far as I'm concerned, is a guy you really need to cock a wink at, because his data is fantastic. And I mean, I don't know whether you've noticed or not, but there's sort of a gathering occurring. The quickening is also on, but there's a gathering starting to come to the fore now. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of us out there on internet world gobbing off like we do, because we're good at it. But in essence, I can see now that I'm being shown others that are on the same path, we're on the same frequency, which means we're operating for the same effort, which is obviously always to agitate you guys out there to improve yourself, not just mentally, but in all forms of how you express yourself down here, getting rid of the crap, because this Phoenix Rising is the time of the forgiveness of sins. And I'm paraphrasing Claudio here. As I said, I've only watched about 7 videos, but it doesn't, this is what I'm saying about the gathering. When you're listening, you know when you're absorbing data that's already there meant for you at this time. And there's a lot of people that I can see out there who are a part of this same path, if you will. And it's really interesting, this. And so I would say to you, really need to have a look at this guy. Obviously, I'll put the link. I've put it up on the video. It's linked to his channel there yesterday, but I'll also do it again on here because Unbelievable, unbelievable. Because and it's perfect in this time, astrologically, for everybody. So the cleansing is, all the people that are unclean have jumped on the death cult. Whether that's the bug shot or whether that's rearing for war. You know what I'm saying? That's their timeline. That's where they're at. They're not shifting off that. They're going nowhere. Basically, they're going nowhere. And there's not a lot you can actually do for them. They have to do it themselves. As you all know this anyway. So the Phoenix, we've got into that with Jason. We've seen the destructive side of it. This, of course, is the beneficial side of it on a personal level. And I would say far more important for you on a personal level to get your head into and start to absorb. As I said, I've not watched many of his videos, but the ones I've watched, I just know this is the data that needs to be pushed. This guy needs to be heard. You need to connect here with this fella by whatever means, whether you're just watching his work, whether you want to get involved in his work. But if you're into astrology, you're into those sciences, I would suggest it's essential. Essential. Because I've met a lot of astrologers in my time. I've worked with astrologers in my time and psychics of all description. Because I've been doing battle with the unseen as well as operating with the unseen consciously after a conscious decision since 1993. So I'm quite well versed in how it works, what it does, and how best to deal with these let's say egregore, these mindsets that set the cell against you, like I've got at the moment with a certain female, but she's got a little crew around her and she's operating at the moment. So this might get very interesting because I'm now at the state where I've had enough. It's time this shit got dealt its hand. So, obviously we don't talk about this kind of stuff in general terms because it's personal and not everybody understands how you play with the unseen. So, but yeah, it's interesting. But this guy, Claudio, which we'll have a little look at the notes I've made from what I've watched today, just so that it give you a bit of an exciter to get you to go and have a look at this guy, because he's excellent. And there's other people I can see in the background that there's connected, that the people there's a gathering of ideas and people who are involved in this particular frequency and data that needs to be pushed, or as the Native Americans would say, a dream that needs to be made manifest. There's a lot of us involved in it. I can see that. It'd be interesting now, because at these stages, tends to be where people get to see their own ego side of things. So it's how well you're going to just absorb and feel comfortable with the people that you're choosing to fill your mind with data. Because of course you don't want to be picking up garbage data. You don't want to fill yourself with nonsense. Because it has an effect, as you know. We are what we eat, what we hear, what we see, what we feel, what we taste, what we smell. Everything that we intake has an effect in relation to how we then transmit, how we're computing that data, that frequency, etc. The magnetic field, as it were. So, excellent info there, and I'll tell you now, if you get into that, you will be better for it. And I'll tell you, if you get into it, you'll probably, if it's for you, you'll probably spend the week going through videos of your choice. Quite a lot of his videos are short, so it's not like you've got to sit there for 25 years on every video. But the ones that are of length are also well worth a look, because that's where you're getting into the nitty-gritty of things. Because it's all about improving yourself. It's about getting rid of what's false. Emptying yourself of that shit, or as religion calls it, sin. And the more you can empty yourself, the better you're going to be in position when we start to get to the real Easter, which is next year, as she rises again to pick us up, as it were. Okay, so that's... I mean, if you listen to what I've just said there, so much of what the religions are supposed to be giving you, but are obfuscating, because the whole idea of a religion is to control you. You know, this is about freeing you. This is about knowing it yourself and navigating. So we all the law that we've done is about you gaining control of your estate, so you're operating your estate. Let's just say data that's come to me in the last couple of weeks via various means has really pulled this together for me and for those that I'm close with. And of course, once we start to really get this under our wing, then things will be changing quite rapidly, I would suggest. So, you know, we've always been moving to controlling our own estates. Now we can move into the Phoenix and how you can start to navigate your actual existence daily. So you maximize what's positive and you're ready for the openings of negative, because of course, I mean, I've learnt this back in the 90s when I was in the mystery school. You know, it's so the events that are set are coming, but depending on what you've learned and how you've moved yourself off anger and hatred, blame and vengeance to what you're experiencing out there, is the actual determination as to how the actual thing that's coming will actually play out. So basically, if you've gone nowhere and you're still at that angst, it's probably going to get bloody, it's probably going to get pretty violent, if that's the kind of situation that's coming. Whereas if you've undone a lot of that vim and vigour outside of yourself, the event will come, but it will not have the power or capacity to do harm. But you will also, because you've brought yourself to that point, will recognise the lesson that event was bringing, regardless of how extreme it got, which is entirely based on your viz, where you're at, you know. So it is good. We've got into Phoenix first on what most people, whether they know it or not, are resonating with, which is disaster. So obviously, you know, getting into the full-blown disaster, it's going to prick your ears up, in it. You're going to be a bit more interested in the Phoenix. But as I said, this now is, in my opinion, for you personally, this is where you want to be focusing to. Yeah? Be aware of Jason and enjoy his stuff. But in the bigger scheme of things, there's not much you can do there. That's going to go its own way. That timeline is going to go its way. There's not. You just have to make sure that you're not playing in it. You've not been fixed or stuck to it, and it's dragging you along with it. So exceptionally interesting, and I'll have a look at what you guys are saying. Good evening to you all. 4 days of summer up here so far. Well, we had two. See, there's no lockdown this year, so they've not been making sure we're all content. You know what I'm saying? They don't care at the moment. Although they've now declared that the moon key bubbles is an emergency. So you know what that means. You know what that's going to launch. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out over here in Blighty, because it didn't go all the way. This is why they shut it down, and I'd be very surprised if they can get it off the ground as severe as they did when they last played out. So we don't know. We have to see. It depends on you out there. You just had yours read, have you? Have you? Well, excellent. So if you've got data there from that, you have a look at Claudio's work, and it'll expand your understanding of the data that you've just been given. So I'd go with that, Trev, if I were you. It's excellent. Hello, John. The soldiers of Esau gathering to slaughter the peoples of Edom. My God. I don't think we're allowed to do slaughter. That's what the numpties are into. That's their game, isn't it? Protect yourself, of course. But that we're going to have to kick everybody's heads in is probably the very tether that's going to drag you off onto that timeline. So just keep that in mind in relation to what it actually means to cleanse your own self, so that your emanations are purer and you're spreading that to them around you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how it works, isn't it? You know, we're all connected in that respect. We're all running around on a little magnetic field of our own making, based on what we absorb, how we interact with it, what we understand about it will determine the frequency that we're then on and projecting, which other people pick up, and they're probably not even aware of it most of the time. So the aim is get yourself as pure as you can, and then the energy that you're emanating around wherever you are, again, is being picked up by others. And so whereas the dark use that to a T, you know, especially when they have these particular groups knocking on your door, preaching their thingy, their carriers, and they're fetching that energy. If you let them in, you know the vampire trick, you've got to invite them in. Don't invite them in. I mean, and most of them are just, they're dumb to this, they don't know they're carrying this. But that's the whole idea, that's how it works. Fill your adherence with the energy you want to promote, and then send them out into the world and spread it. You know, spread it. That's what's going on. And that's what we can all feel at the moment, because we've got so much immigration. We can now feel that there's a different frequency going on England, and we can sense it. That's what you're sensing. And it's gathering pace. You know, it's gathering pace. But now we can feel the difference between our energies and their energies. And it's massive, is it not? And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. So I've been looking, something popped up today on my face, a bit synchronicity kind of thing. But I'm not going to present it on here. But I am looking at it because, as I said in the previous videos, that, you know, when you're being set up, you have to be set up in a manner that what it is they want to get out of you, you give happily. And as I've said, you know, the inner realities of some of these people has started to come out. We can see it. This guy that I looked at today is actually speaking it. So he sat on England telling us how it is and how it's going to be. I had an imam looking at him, and he's explaining exactly how it works. Make no mistake about it, because that's how it works, and this is what they're building. And this is the frequency you can feel. That's what you're feeling now when you can sense it. It's an inversion of our cultural frequency. I know that we're off it now, most people, but you still have an essence of it within you, and we can sense it now that there's a complete and utter different energy all over it shop. Yeah, so we're going to have to start reckoning with it now, and pretending that it's not happening and not talking about it isn't going to solve the problem, is it? You know what I'm saying? So you can expect that we're going to get stuck into some of these subjects as we move forward as well, because we have to. We have to. Hey up, cos. Hey Jeff. Leave UK now if you can. No. You don't do running off. You don't do running off. When laws are agreed in a nation, they're agreed in the spirit world, the heavens. And all the ancestors to that, however long it is, will operate according to what's been agreed. Yeah, so you have that. All we need to do is go back to English law, because that's what this nation, that's what was set up to protect the nation originally with the original covenant between man and the heavens, and that still stands. The fact that people have forgotten means it's not been forgotten, it's just been not being operated down here, because we've left the flock to find the inner kingdom. This is the inner kingdom. This is what it says. You know, this is what it's like. This is astrology, the phoenix rising. In that sense, is again, it's what it's saying to you. It's what it wants you to crack on with and get onto. So what we need to do is make sure that they carry on with Brexit and get us out of this ECHR. Because that they're using here, when you go in human rights here, you're on the Human Rights Act 1998, which has incorporated the ECHU. That's the problem. That's why we can't stop these immigrants. That's why we can't throw them out of the country. Yeah? That's why. So that, and that's been obfuscated because they're pretending that in these corporate rules, they don't have to uphold your rights and your constitutional rights, but more importantly, the choice to decide whether you are in any situation before any law, do you want to be person or do you want to remain man? And if you want to remain man, they've signed up to these human rights platforms that are very clear. They have to acknowledge and give you that right. They don't, do they not? So knowing this data that was in that video yesterday coming from Claudio, there then is the grammar we need in order to remind them, just a minute, girls, you've already signed into that. So you're breaching contract. So you can get them in a lot of ways now. In that way, you don't even have to go to Chancery. We can pull this stuff into anything. A letter to so if it's government, whatever department you're dealing with, who's the head of that department? So you've got Ministry of Justice, but it's still department. It's still an existing English department overseeing it, but it's been pushed into the background. So bypass the Ministry of Justice, go to the department, which I forgot what it is. Is Lord Chancellor, you know what I'm saying? But they're still fixed to English law because these contracts that are running the corporate make it clear that they have to give us these rights. And I'll just remind you of what is the important one, and it is. Wait a minute. So we'll knock that off. So the important part is Article 18, more than anything, which says, everyone shall have the right to freedom of thought, conscience and religion. This right shall include freedom to have or adopt a religion or belief of his choice, and freedom either individually or in community with others and in public or private to manifest his religion or belief in worship, observance, practice and teaching. However, it has to be within the laws of the nation you're in. Yeah? So we have freedom of expression. We have freedom of religion. But you don't have the freedom to break any of the laws. Not UK policy, the laws of the nation. And all these corporate contracts that they've signed into are under this Article 18. It says no one shall be subject to coercion, right? Which is why the imams speak today that I've watched is exceptionally important, because everything he said is in breach of this completely. So back to what I said before, because Muslims need to understand this, and Muslims born in the West, you've had the same upbringing as everybody else in the West. So you don't have any excuse to claim that you're thick, right? You can grasp this grammar now because you've had a Western education, yeah? You know what I'm saying? And so once you start to look at this, these conventions are set in stone and signed off, and you're being encouraged because you're following the Sharia as opposed to the Quran, is in direct contradiction to this, and it's been made so. It's been made so because it's going to put you in such a position that the prophecy in the Quran is potentially going to come to pass. Because when you get down to reason and logic on this, there's no other way to deal with it if it's not understood by those that are under it, if you get my meaning. So, there's going to be some people get a bit cross at this, but at the end of the day, we have to dissect this. Because I don't see anybody within Islam looking at it in these terms. And I've spoke to a lot of Muslim elders in the last 20 years on these subject matters. So there's nothing that I speak about that I haven't spoken to Muslim elders and got their sort of take on it, because I'm not a Muslim, so it's not my job to help Muslims see what it is that's going on all around them that they're not seeing, if you get my meaning. But on the occasions when I first started to study the Quran and all the works around it, every time I come across something that really had me a bit, oh, bloody hell, then that's when I'd speak to the elders, and, you know, they understood what I was saying. I know they were seeing it from that time on in this light. But, you know, but difficulty is getting it into the minds of the youngsters because they're full of beans because of other ideas that they've got going on, sanctioned by this imam. So this is where they're getting it from. And this imam seemed a right nice guy, nothing evil about him, just explaining how it works. So it is specifically, which is why they've pulled them all into the West. Remember, the aim of the Third World War was to put the political Islamists and the political Zionists, which isn't just the Jews, it's all the evangelical pseudo-Christians, because through Protestantism being pulled to the Old Testament and off the Gospels, a big chunk, well, in fact, the biggest chunk of Zionists today are actually Christian Zionists, whichever denomination they're actually in. So the aim of the Third World War was to bring it to a point so the political Islamists and the political Zionists annihilate each other. That's the aim of it. And they're doing a pretty good job. The only sad thing about it is they're making sure it's going to be done in our back garden, because they've thrown them all over Europe. And you know what I'm saying? So it's a game that's dangerous, and you know, if it's not started to be brought to the surface and put on the table for debate, and that everybody involved comes and brings truth to the table, because you can't work through these kind of schisms that are upon us if everybody's coming with opinion. It has to be fact that's put on the table. Then we can look at it, and then we can start to work out how this is approached, basically, because this is where it's going. I said for many years they will turn it around, and they will turn it around because the setup was in order. As I said, the priesthood judging you on what it is you're claiming to be, and if you're off the mark, by ignorance or nay, doesn't matter. The machine they control is going to judge you. Simple as that, you know. So interesting stuff. And you've got, so no one shall be subject to coercion, which would impair his freedom to have or to adopt a religion or belief of his choice. Freedom to manifest one's religion or beliefs may be subject only to such limitations as are prescribed by law, you see. So when in the Quran it says you have to obey the laws of the host nation, it's talking about these laws, the laws that are already set on England, on Scotland, on Ireland, on France, on Holland, yeah, on Germany, on Russia, on Saudi, and they're all different, which is why you can't just blanket an idea. It doesn't work, and it's only going to bring one end. Do you know what I'm saying? No matter what people are thinking at the moment, it can only end in one way, can that? And then you're off looking at Nostradamus, who were very clear. He spoke a lot about the Northern Alliance. That you know, this infiltration will get so far, and then that's it. It's reached a point where it's had enough. You know what I'm saying? And listening to that imam today, it won't be very long before everybody had enough. It'll probably take 1 day's worth of this mindset actually carrying out, and that'll be enough, more than enough, believe me. So, you know, we need to start to look at these things now, before that timeline drags as many people as it can into it, and then you're not going to take advantage of what's afoot with this astrological phoenix rising, you know. So it is important that we look at this. How people out there react to it is on you. It's nothing to do with me. My intent is pure. I'm trying to get to us a point where we can understand, Because when you understand things, the frustration disappears, the angst disappears, the frequency raises. You know, it's not that low grade, we're lost, we're in a box, we only have one way out. Because that's what it's about, slowly. You know, you've got your all boxed in, and slowly but surely they squeeze and squeeze and squeeze. And when you're frustrated to a point that you've only got one option left, there you go. It says, such limitations that are prescribed by law and are necessary to protect public safety. Yeah, so all the laws on England and other nations are all about protecting public safety. UK stuff, which is just corporate garbage, mimics the law and then again limits your capacities even more because you're on person. Yeah, you're on person with surname, so you're a dead trust. You're a dead trust, you know. Now, just one thing while I'm on that, about one thing I've noted with Christopher House's data, I'm not taking anything away from him, but it doesn't come across very clear for everybody that although he's showing you the position of beneficiary and you're signing off as beneficiary, what you need to understand is this: the beneficiary cannot act in relation to the trust. The beneficiary does nothing. Yeah? So if you're signing off as beneficiary, you can't be signing off orders. Are you with me? Now you can respond with that respect because you're respectfully just pointing out that you're beneficiary. But you can't start laying law down and acting for the trust. For that is the role of the trustee. Now, once you've expressed the fact that you're beneficiary of the trust, whomever it is you're speaking with is then in position of trustee. Now, if it's state related, the civil servants, they're not only a trustee, they're a trustee with a fiduciary obligation. And the obligation, as always, is how is this action going to benefit the beneficiary? Yeah? But if you're acting in relation to operating your estate, which is what the data that I've been putting out for a long time and others have pulled in and given even more, is to move you to a point where you can operate your own estate. So you don't need to join these organisations who basically are just dragging as many trusts in they can to act in a fiduciary role for. I don't know whether that's for good or ill. Only you know that because you know these people that are doing it. Yeah? So ultimately, it's always a cop-out if you're joining, yeah, rather than learning to navigate it yourself. You with me? So we're all about getting to a point where we can navigate our trust correctly. So it's ours, the key to the door is open, we've got it. They're fighting us tooth and nail, we know that. But also we understand that you have to get it perfect. And if you don't get it perfect, you're not going to get the response you're expecting. Take it on the chin, you've done something wrong. Instead of having an hissy fit and go, I'm going to throw a lean on you, I'm going to kick your head in. Stop, look at it, what have I done wrong? What have you done wrong? Okay? And if you've done nothing wrong, then you're on to the data that Claudio's given us that I've put out for you guys on a video yesterday to bring them to book, to force them to that position where they have to do. So with Chris, I don't think it's clear to people that if you're operating in this capacity with the SEC, IRS, you need a trustee who acts as your trustee for the trust. You get me? So you with me? Now, you know that people out there are offering to act as trustees. I don't know enough about these people. It would be far better if a couple of you together got to grips with this and you could each act as each other's trustee in this matter. Do you understand what I'm saying when it comes to the work of Chris? Because it's not that clear to a lot of people, just on conversations I've had. So I thought, I meant to mention it a couple of weeks ago, but completely forgot. So this is reminding me. So again, keep that in mind, folks, as well. So some limitations are prescribed by... So I'll start that again. It says, number 3 is freedom to manifest one's religion or beliefs may be subject only to such limitations as are prescribed by law. So that's the laws of the nation. And the Quran, that's why the Quran speaks in those terms. That's what it's telling you. All right? So you can only express your religion as far as the existing laws allow. All right? It's important that you get that. The state parties to the present covenant undertake to have respect for the liberty of parents and, when applicable, legal guardians. So this again is interesting because it's using legalese speak as we know it, the word parent, and legal guardian, whereas a lot of the times we go, oh, we don't want to be that, which we actually don't with mother and father. But even using this terminology in this covenant is using the term parents. Okay? So, you know, if you've got social workers on your part for whatever reason, as long as you're not molesting your kids and stuff like that, then this is where you'd be pulling them. Yeah? So I'll do that again. Number 4, the state parties to the present covenant undertake to have respect for the liberty of parents and, when applicable, legal guardians to ensure the religious and moral education of the children in conformity with their own convictions. So it says religious and moral, so they're separate. You don't, you know, this idea that you can't be moral unless you're religious is nonsense. And this young guy from London who's got 800,000 followers, so we're going to have a look at him. I'll maybe even see if he wants to come on a Zoom. I mean, the shit that this lad's pushing out there, it was something like, you've left your religion and you're causing havoc and spreading it. And it's like, okay. Can you see? They haven't got a clue. They don't know their ass from their elbow, these people. They're not educated people that are pushing this out. But this guy's got 800,000 followers. And he's in UK, London. Okay? So we'll send them more on it, but we are going to bring it through in one of these live streams because it's important information that you need to see. You need to see what mindset is out there. You can feel it and you can sense it because it's such a lesser frequency. But you need now to examine that frequency and translate it into data that your mind can compute. Yeah? Then, it's like what I said to a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of people talk about religion. They've read their own book, but they've never read the opposing book or the book that they see as opposing. But are experts. It doesn't work that way. If you want to be an expert in what it is you're looking at, you've got to be fully cognizant with both sides, both books, both ideas, both cultures, both histories. Or you're not. You're going to come unstuck. You know? So, it's like you've got your Tommy Robinson kind of guy who went out there full blazing and he attracted a lot of people because of that feeling that you've got out there. You know something's wrong. But he was trying to bring you onto war mode, on the streets, get it going. You know, only the state party is the only beneficiary to civil unrest because it installs more powers and activates emergency powers, you know? You've got to remember this. This is why they want this final battle between the political Islamists and the political Zionists all over the Western world, you know? Because if the Phoenix in Forte is it in Asia, the reason why they've gone through China to buy up all the land in Australia, the Australian military recently have just expressed the fact that they're now fully controlled by the American military, so they've amalgamated. Yet, China's bought all its land. And that's been facilitated by the elites that control the military-industrial complex. So if the East is going to get destroyed, they're trying to set it up so that they can move into the West. They can't do that until we've moved out. The way they're trying to get us to move out is to get this kickoff going, you know. You've done it with the bookshop. They've got Ukraine. They've got your military-minded. They're moving our militaries out. Yeah? Can you see? Moving our militaries out. All these new police that they're bringing in are about 3'4" blonde birds with big blue eyes and blue eyeliner to match the blue lights. Which is why I keep saying to you, it's not easy to not get cross with the one on the streets, but what you want is that guy in control room. Because they're moving in this new live streaming system now, where it's very military, and the pillock so he's a Mason, he's operating for the 21st degree, yeah, the Noahide judge. That's what he's operating for. The old Masonic, or Jesuit, or Malta, or take your pick. Take your pick. That's where they are. That's where the command levels now are being pulled and moved and levered. So you've got to keep this in mind. So religious and moral education. So there's a distinction between religious and moral. So you don't have to be religious to say, you're not teaching my kid to touch itself at 3. You're not having my kid sat there looking at a drag queen. You're not sat there having my child looking at a prostitute with money hanging out of her knickers and letting the kids pull it out to see the connection between sex, pole dancing and money. You don't have to be religious. You just have to be moral. Because you're in charge of the education. And that is set in these covenants that all these nations have set up. So at the moment they're insisting your ID as person. Now you can go through the motions. You don't even have to take it to chancery. This is about human rights. Without the 1998 Act here in UK, because it incorporates the European one, yeah, which Boris didn't take us out. Can you see how this has been a full play? There's nothing here happened by... You know, Boris, as much as you all hated him, you weren't getting him out. There weren't enough calls until Kissinger. Until Kissinger leapfrogged off his toadstool into the arena and declared Cameron had fucked it. Right? Now, so not Cameron, Boris had screwed it. Now Boris has gone. The only man that you mandated with a vote to administer us out to administer Brexit. So you have to see it in these terms. It's important. So moral education of the children in conformity with their own convictions. So it's your own personal convictions as mother, father. Even if you're trapped with parent, it doesn't matter because all the paperwork you've done with the schools and etc. is on parent. These covenants stipulate the term parent and legal guardian. So again, this is why it's so important and why I rushed to get that video together. I could have made a much better job of it. But to be quite frank, if you go and find the video, I got it off on Claudio's channel. It's brief, it's put together. If you don't like me waffling on, go there, find that, it'd be far better for you. Because all the data and more is in that video. I just pulled out what I knew to get it into your minds that this is the new, this is the law, the covenant that you're pushing when you want to get your own rights to identify exactly as you are and as you choose to be, not what they're insisting you are. So you can go through the motions, let them do it, but then you go Chief Constable, PCC, and you're sending them a letter reminding them that they're in breach of this, you want damages. Yeah, but again, like I've said, with looking at Christopher, it doesn't clear up to people that you can't be acting for your own trust as beneficiary. You can't, because if you're acting, you're a trustee. So you get what I'm saying there, and that is quite important. It might help people a little bit more if they're having trouble communicating with the IRS. Also, a friend were having problems. They'd gone through the motions, but online, and weren't being sent back the forms that they requested. So I did suggest that they use the post, because remember, the post is a jurisdiction, you know. And once it's posted, the Postmaster General has accepted service on behalf of where it's going. So even if they didn't want to get it, it's still actually been serviced because the Postmaster General, once it's put in the post and it's active cargo, he's serviced it regardless. Yeah, so it matters that you stick to the post. There's done some changes with the post as well. I haven't actually looked at it properly. Somebody sent me earlier in the week. So there's changes going on with the post. What that is going to actually mean, I'm not 100% sure. So leaving UK, that was quite a long answer. No, you don't want to be leaving anywhere that you are, because it needs your grasp on things where you are. I don't think people recognise just how important a role you're playing. Probably because you're judging where you're at by what you're not getting that you want. Jingle jangle. And so you're seeing yourself as failing. You're not. That should be, you want to invert that. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're not getting what you're wanting, it's because that's what you need. It's all about this cleansing that we're going to look into in a minute. Okay, I'm going to paraphrase it. and pass it on to Claudio. And you're going to get something from this, everybody. You're really going to get something from this. I can't stress that enough. So that were Article 18. ICCPR Article 1.2. All peoples may for their own ends freely dispose of their natural wealth and resources without prejudice to any obligations arising out of international economic cooperation based upon the principle of any mutual benefit and international law, and in no case may a people be deprived of its own means of subsistence. So this is where you farmers need to be looking. They want you to get on the street and cause even more chaos, and so they can really shut down the supply line. All of you sit down, get your wellies off after your day's graft, and have a look at ICCPR Article 1.2. Okay? Article 1.2. All peoples may for their own ends freely dispose of their natural wealth and resources without prejudice to any obligations arising out of international economic cooperation. So fuck the UN, fuck the debt, because that's an international agreement with the Bank for International Settlements. Yeah? Fuck it all, get on with it. You keep listening to these dipsticks for you. I'm talking to farmers specifically. You sat there trilling your dick, expecting the government to come up with the solutions that you're looking for. No, the government's only going to come up with the solutions they're looking for. And as much as I'm in support of protest, just give it a second thought. It does exacerbate and give license further for them, especially Holland, because it's the biggest port for imports in Europe. Everything goes to Holland. So this is why they've chosen Holland, to attack first with these regulations that are going to excite the farmers. So I'm not poo-pooing what the farmers are doing. What I'm saying is, in sync with that, this is where you bring them to book, because they can't tell you that you can't do this when it's got to do with your subsistence. Not only your own as a farmer, but the subsistence of your neighbours. Yeah? Stop selling to the supermarkets. Get them off your track. Get out. You've got vans. You can deliver. And if you're looking at the profit margins that these corporate dipsticks are looking at, it ain't going to work, is it? Let's get back to basics. We don't need 40 gazillion quid, do we? Each. We don't. Look at the kind of people that have it. They're insane. They're fucking insane. I mean, Elon Musk, everybody raves about it. The guy's a fellow of the Royal Society. Royal Society. Pseudoscience. So this Stargate shit he's playing, I don't know whatever the hell he calls it, it's garbage. It's a load of pish. They've obviously got something going up there with lights on. And I've seen some of these engines that they've got going go exceptionally bright white. Excuse me. But don't kid yourself that this fellow of the Royal Society, Elon Musk, is beneficial to you. He's not. So Article 1.2 ICCPR for farmers. For any of you. So they've got Codex Alimentarius going, haven't they? Which prohibits you from collecting rainwater in your garden. And they're enforcing it in some places. And this came into force 2012, 31st of December. One lady in particular brought that out. What's she called? I can't remember her name. It bans nutrients and vitamins in foods, classes them as poisons. You know what I'm saying? So can you see what the vegan move's all about? It's alright greens if you're only buying the greens that they grow because they've stopped you from being able to grow them in your garden because of Codex Alimentarius. ICCPR Article 1.2. Yeah, in no case may a people be deprived of its own means of subsistence. People is not person, remember this. People is... So we the people, yeah? It's humans, or man. So people, again, is a word. You can see when they use these words, most people think, you mean persons. It's not. It's distinct from person. Person is its own little animal. And again, that needs to be grasped. So you need to understand the term to understand that it does actually support you. It's talking about you. But it's not talking about you as a person. It's talking about you as part of humanity, as man. If you want to be really smart. Nowhere to go, stay and fight for England. Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, all these laws say nobody can start laying it low down. Nobody could start claiming areas, no-go areas. It goes against the law. So once we've got the police back understanding this, and the judiciary understanding this, then we can deal with it properly, can't we? Once we get rid of the Human Rights Act 1998 because we're not using it, you're using the ICCPR, yeah? You getting it? You've sidelined all that shit. Anything that's breaking the laws of England can be dealt with by the laws of England, by whatever methods they give us. The service of law. We're back to service of law as opposed to policy. So it's important that the police start to understand this. That intelligence needs to understand this. That counsellors need to understand this. Judges, lawyers, barristers. Yeah? But they're on the bar. Aren't they? You know what I'm saying? So they have a dichotomy. Or have they? But they have. If they're serving the bar, then they're not going to be able to serve the covenant. So even the bar are encouraging everybody by obfuscation not to operate according to the covenants that are in force. The human rights covenants, that is, yeah. So that's ICCPR 1.2. Where are we? ICCPR Article 2.2 is, whereas I understand and claim that the state parties must take steps to give effect to all rights in the international covenant through the constitutional process. So England has a constitution. You see why they're trying to build a UK constitution? Yeah? No, that's not what it's about. But we have to, everything we've all done has brought us to the point that we can actually start to understand these concepts. We're not already provided for by existing legislative or other measures. Each party state to the present covenant undertakes to take the necessary steps in accordance with its constitutional processes. So each state party, and as I've said, you can start to see now that the entire political class are the state party because they're all voting in Parliament. But we focus to the cabinet, don't we? The one that we believe are in power. Well, they're not really, are they? They're all in power because they're all voting. Or nay. Abstaining, that's another little game they play. So they can go in and pick up the cash for day, but don't get involved. Because nobody's taking any notice. In accordance with its constitutional processes and with the provisions of the present covenant, to adopt such legislative or other measures as may be necessary to give effect to the rights recognised in the present covenant. So they have to adapt the legislation to recognise the actual covenant. So if they're piss-arting around, which they all are, and you bring it to their attention, they're ordered in ICCPR Article 2.2 to give effect to the rights recognised in the present covenant. So while they can get away with blagging you go in, on person, they're obliged then to, that is your right. Can you see, this is where they're picking their idea of honour up. You have a right to, but they're not doing that now. The police don't do it anyway. They insist your ID on person. So this is, your little games with the coppers are going to be, if you're going to start taking this on, this is where you're going. And you record it. You record it because then you've got the data to put a claim together. PCC Chief Constable. I've also noticed the PCC have a deputy as well. So that's important to keep in mind. I'm giving it some thought, let's put it that way, to what it actually means. So there you go. And that's ICCPR Article 2.2, another point of note that we need to. But for me, it's ICCPR Article 1.2. Get into it. Understand it. Says Article 47 then is nothing in the present covenant shall be interpreted as impairing the inherent right of all peoples to enjoy and utilise fully and freely their natural wealth and resources. So they're now operating contrary to their own covenant because they're not. They are interpreting it, or are they not? In that it can impair. Yeah, they are. That's how they've interpreted it as a get-go. And as we've just said, once you start to present your standing, they're not having it. They're in fucking big trouble when you bring this system to bear on them. So yeah, I thought we'd just rebranch that because I was a bit excited on that video, and when I read it back, and when I looked at it back, I did think I'd missed quite a lot of stuff and perhaps not put it together as well as I could. But I was excited! You know what I'm saying? I was excited. So my apologies. So there you go. Bump. There are what we covered yesterday, and very interesting it was too. So let's have a look. You enjoyed it? Oh, well, good. Well, I'm glad because I weren't really comfortable watching it back. I thought I made a bit of a mess of it, but we're excited. Should have just relaxed a bit, chilled out maybe. And you're in the bath, are you? I think you shouldn't be saying things like that, aren't you? There's boys about. Can you imagine images that's picking up? Deborah. I have now watched some Jason stuff. His delivery is a bit aggressive. Well, yeah, he is. He's very aggressive, but he's a particular. He's how's best to describe it? And it's relevant what he's saying because, and I think more so because the destructive side of this Phoenix process is it's hunting down the negative stuff for destruction. That's what it's doing. The retarded and the evil are going to be shown to be exactly that. That's the natural progression. Normally, when they're a bit brain dead, the only action they have on that is violence and full-on emotional responses, which is what they've set them all up for. I can see it, and I've been speaking this for a long time. It's nothing new to me, but I think now is its time. As I've said, I spoke to the elders many years ago about it, and now it seems it's time for it to be expressed out there so we can start to analyse it and look at it properly. Jeff says, I'm still learning, but think I'm listening to the right people to help educate me. Still a lot to learn. Haven't we all, Jeff? I mean, for God's sake, I'm a proper upstart, mate, you know, when it comes to learning. I know a lot, but I could know a lot more. Nobody's perfect, are they? And who would want to be, anyway, here? You couldn't be perfect down here, because everybody's mental. You know what I'm saying? You have to be a bit tapped, just so that you can recognise all the other tapped, so you can guess what they might do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, perfection, let's not look for perfection, let's just look for purity of heart. Let's bring the heart shining rather than the lower emotions. You know what I'm saying? I keep saying you know what I'm saying, that's annoying me as well when I watch my videos back. I always say so, and that does me head in. It does my head in. When I did that video yesterday, I read most edits with me taking out so, and I'm like, shut up. So I mean, I might need some etiquette lessons, you know what I'm saying? I've done it again, know what I'm saying? I need to stop saying that because it drives me mad when I read it back, watch it back. Right, I'm going to try and be on my best behaviour. That is another and that's the other. So, and you know what I'm saying? It does me boxing. So I'm going to have to stop saying that if I can. All three. Done it again. See, it's just so habitual. Alright, view. We sure do, Debbie. We enjoy lessons on our journey. Well, there's a lot of folk to watch now. If you're watching the right people, there's a lot out there to watch. I'm fully on the ball with Chris and I've uploaded a video on Trustee, but without trustees, it's fraud. Correct. And just once people were prompting me with that, and I could see that they weren't seeing that, I thought, yeah, it doesn't come across blatantly so that you need a trustee to act on your behalf, on the trust's behalf, because you're the beneficiary. I did it again. True. Be patient. Use postal. Absolutely. Always. And pay for the recording, because you're creating the file, the case management file, and you're managing it. You're removing the pish, all the powers that they take, you're pulling them back to yourself. You're creating the case management file. The letters you send out, the responses or near you get. And with what we put together yesterday, now you've got the grammar to bring them to book for not giving you your rights to be who you are, think how you want to think, do what you want to do with your offspring. Yeah. Earn what you need to earn to subsist yourself. Grow what you need to grow to subsist yourself. Anything trying to stop that is against the covenant. It's also against English law, the constitutional law. And the UDH is, I forgot what it's called, is the sort of Magna Carta for this entire human rights system. Remember that as well. That was the first one that they signed, weren't it? So just keep getting it together, that grammar, so that you're grasping it. I'll put the links up to the documents themselves. One 25 and the other two are 8. That's all you need according to Claudio. So we need to start getting into that, and let's do it together. Let's do it all together rather than just one of us doing it. Get some effort in it, and let's share what we're finding, I think. Good day, Gary. How are you doing, matey? But yeah, I know he's a great, but I'm not taking anything away from Jason. Jason has a role in what he's bringing to the forefront. But on a personal level, this next bit is what I would suggest is more important for you. Chief Officer to CEO, yeah, Chief Executive Officer. Chief Officer to CEO and above PCC. Chief Officer of what? Because as I understand it, the Chief Constable is chosen by the PCC, determined by how well he's going to implement the agenda of the PCC. Yeah? Now, who's the Chief Officer? Who's that, eh? We need to know. Don't be so hard on myself. I'm like, look, if you're going to grow, you have to be the hardest on yourself than you can imagine. Really. There's no time for let up. When you let up, you pick up bad habits. When you pick up bad habits, you change your frequency. It's that serious. Hard on myself, yeah, I'm the hardest on myself than anybody else. Because it's the only power I have for change. It's changing me. So yeah, I'm hard on myself. And I would advise you try it yourself. But I get the sentiment. Thanks, Echo. What are you crying at? Who's crying? Who's crying? Crying and laughing. What? Tongue, eh? I like that. What's got you going? I'm not going to change show. I can't. It's impossible. It's an impossibility. Many females have tried. And they do love me. And then I drive them insane. You know, I drive them insane. That's why I'm single. It's not fair on a female to drag him into my madness. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? I've got a lot of friends. I did it again, know what he's saying. I've got a lot of female friends, but, you know, girlies like to change boys, don't they? Well, it doesn't work. I'm just fool. And I've been like that since I was born. It's not new. You know what I'm saying? It's just how we're wrong. I tell you again. But when I was younger, obviously, I did what I wanted, and not everything that I was doing and wanted were necessarily what I needed. Although it probably was, because I can look back on it and I've got the experience to go, I don't need to ask anybody or read a book. I already know. So, don't change anything. I'm not going to change anything, guys. Honestly, I can't. I couldn't change if I tried. The only thing that changes is the internal grasp on poor excuses that I give myself for why I can't do this and why I can't do that. Yeah, I'm full of them. And as we all are we not? But I am full of them. I mean, yeah. I have to love Sean. It's my standing out there. Interesting, but good man. Evening, Sean. Glad to catch it live, though late. Still digesting yesterday's vid anyway. Cheers, and that's El. You're more than welcome, El. Where are the links? The links to what? to the contracts. They're under the video I put up yesterday, and also a link to Claudio's channel. I did it specifically to the channel because you need to look at a lot more than just that video. The guy's good. The guy is bringing deep stuff together. I like it, and he's got quite a few experts around him as well who are also putting their input in, and as a group togetherness, they're moving to understand the Egyptian calendar, because that is the correct one, is it not? Everything comes from the whole show, and it's not all bad. It's not all bad. My speech. Oh yeah, I keep saying that and it drives me nuts. It's when I listen back and I'm thinking, oh my god. So I turn it off. I can't listen to myself. I can't. It's ridiculous. I can only do it in spits, because as soon as I've said them silly things a few times, I'm just off Richter scale. Lots of love flying away, Dad and family. Neon TV. Lots of love flying your way, Dad and family. They love you for the... Well, true. So the chief officer. Well, that's interesting. Thanks for that. Can you send me data on that to me email? Because if that's the case, I've missed something and I need to get cracking on that rapid. So, in fact, that would make life so much easier if that is the case. So, just because it's the Tuesday doesn't necessarily... Mind you, it should do. Alright, so if you've got any data on that, on the chief officer, please, can you send it to email? Because that's exceptionally important. Oh, God bless you. Hi, Paul, how you doing, mucker? That's my brother. Beware the music. Right, so let's have a little shenanigans at this Phoenix Rising. I'm only paraphrasing. I can't do it as good as this guy does because he knows his stuff. But if it's enough to get you interested, I'm happy with that. Well, thanks, Paul. I know it is the guts of the message, isn't it? That's how it is. Personally, for me, I don't want to get all hoity-toity about it. You know, there was a time back in the day where I thought, do I need to start learning how to speak properly, you know? But no, you know, I'm trying to encourage everybody. I don't want to just speak to a particular group, you know what I mean? Although, you know, a lot of the stuff I do put out is, I know it's over the heads of most people, but there are some out there that I do know, listen and understand what I'm saying as well. So I do a little bit of that, but in my intention is to bring this down to the street, man. Well, thank you for that, Paul Sefton. We all cringe at our own voice when we hear it on video. I can't stand hearing my voice when I sing. Oh my god, cringe, I hate it. And it's a shame because I could be quite a good lyricist, you know what I mean? But I said it again. Yeah, it's not good. Never mind. Right, to business. So the personal Phoenix Rising, and the first thing I'm going to show is a capture. So if I go there and then I have to knock that off, you should be able to see a picture on my desktop. So, and I've finished this off Claudio, and so we're looking at the ascendant here, the meridian line, which is the Sphinx, if you consider, was built on the line of the last Phoenix, or maybe one before the last, depending on how far back it goes to anybody. But it's showing you that it's real, that this rising in the east on this line only happens every 558 years. And it's the Revelation speaks of it, 12:1, and says, "Now a great sign appeared in the heaven, and a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet." So here you've got Eris, which is the Holy Mother, clothed in the sun, yeah, with the moon's node at his feet. So I've said this before, haven't I, that the Bible, for a lot of people, why they get lost in it is because most of it it's symbolic, you know what I'm saying? I've said it again. It's that kind of a thing that we need to start to understand. So when you look at this picture here, where we all see and many have been told, it's evil, you don't have to look at it. No, this is the Phoenix rising, Isis here in this case, because we're looking at an Egyptian pictogram. But April the 15th, or it starts 13th to the 15th, 2023, is when the Queen of Heaven comes back to pick up her offspring. Yeah? And so we're on. And it was 558 years since the last one. And it's the true Easter. So this is what Claudio is putting across here. And this is what's happening. So the cleansing began in 2020 as a natural cleanse. Of course, the mimic, Loki, has put this system on. So are they exacerbating it, carrying it out, or are they just mimicking it to make us think that they're all powerful? Yeah? You know what I'm saying there? That's a potential. It's probably not just the potential, it's probably the actual fact of the matter. So let's have a little look at this data. So we've done the revelation, so you get that into your mind. Now, the perfect point to see this at 7:25 a.m. on April the 15th, 2023 would be Queensland, New Zealand. So where it rises there is setting the meridian that this Phoenix rising is on. Yeah? We're not comparing this one to Jason's version. It's another part of it, but on the personal level, this is where we're at for that. So the cleansing comes in where you're going to be by time you get to April in yourself. If you haven't took the shot, you're halfway there. Stop eating the shit in the food, because that's stopping you emptying yourself. You with me? So you've really got to start cleansing yourself up now, in essence, and expelling the shit that needs to come out of you. So all these illnesses that are going on, it's coming out. That illness I had at Christmas, I knew it were a great thing. And speaking to one of my colleagues who had it worse than me, in bed for 2 weeks, at least I weren't in bed. And I said to him, well, I think this is a cleansing, so I think it's a good thing. And he said, yeah. I said, do. So he took that on board. So all these illnesses that you get in there, guys, don't be running off to the med centre, because you're never going to expel it. They'll stop you expelling it. You want to be getting flu. You want to be getting rid of all the shit that's inside you. You know, so if you think you've got candida or parasites, no, you don't want that one. That's me makeup. Yeah, start considering, get yourself some of that and play with that. You know, candida, parasites, cancer. This stuff annihilates it. If you want to know how to take it, there is a document. Send me an email, I'll send you the document. Because there's quite a bit to know if you want to do it correctly, especially in relation to getting rid of what you kill. So start cleansing yourself in as many ways as you can, but more importantly, you know, don't be filling yourself up with alcohol. Drink by all means a bit, but don't fill yourself up with it. Because you've got to look at all these poisons now that they're setting against you, are aiming to prevent you from expelling this shit inside you, all the crap that needs to come out, so that you're ready for when mummy comes back with toys and presents. Yeah? For the worthy, for the ones that matter. Not the fruit bats, the ones that are doing the work. Yeah? Praying, sitting down, jingle, it's not working. It doesn't mean shit. You know what I'm saying? You've got, I said it again. I'm crap at this. Cleansing. Right. Now, calendars. So when the popes have changed these calendars in the times, it's to obfuscate this. So when they're looking for signs in the skies with the telescopes, these are the signs they're looking for. Right? And it's happening. It's on now astrologically, this is going on. We don't need to guess. It's happening. You look in the sky. So they're obfuscating the sun because we're getting a new sun. And they're obfuscating it to try and prevent us from getting the energies that are coming off this new sun. If you're getting yourself cleansed yourself, they can't stop it. So they need to fill you up with shit, which they've done, and then prevent you from getting rid of that shit. So if you took the shot, you've filled yourself up with shit, you've no chance. You're done. You're done deal. You're not going to cleanse it. You're not going to, it's not happening. You've chosen, you've had enough. You can't do it, so you've give up. You know, that's the kind of thing we're talking at. Now, so this event sets the calendar. The real one. And of course, they've been obfuscated, as we said, with the popes, changing the calendar, etc., etc. So you don't see this. Like they've done with the Kabbalistic tree of life, inverted, top, bottom, left, right. Everything they've done is half-baked giving you. And if you want a bit more, you have to join the secret societies. But they're still giving you half-baked. Unless you get to the 33rd degree. Then you've proved yourself, you know exactly what you're doing. They're either to capitalise on this knowledge because you're keeping it from those you intend to capitalise off. So all this information has basically been held by the Egyptians way back. They knew it. This is what the hieroglyphs are saying. This is why you need to look at Claudio. If you're interested in anything Egyptian, you're going to see, just watching anything he does, you're going to get, all of a sudden, it's going to just go bang, 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 bang. And the more you know about Egypt and hieroglyphs, religion, you know, Bible, etc., the more this guy is going to just get rid of them false idioms, and your frequencies are going to turn, the tap's going to turn on right, because you're going to be thinking right, you're going to be dealing with it right, and the emanation of you, again, you're going to change the frequency, and you're going to be spreading it. You know, you're planting them seeds then just on an electromagnetic basis. Very interesting stuff, this. So when he says this rising shows itself 4 times in an age, we're talking about the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces. So we're just leaving the age of Pisces, which is no love in it for you, which is what we've experienced, is it not? And we're about to enter my S. I mean, you know, you look at my chart and you could basically say I am Uranus. The real one, not the sodomite kind of thing, but you know, he's on his side. I'm off the wall, you know, which is why I infuriate people. Sometimes I'm just not like I'm there. So you're entering my ass. You better behave yourselves, because I have a line into Geezer. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be on to him saying, "Look, this guy's a bit of a naughty boy. Smack his ass. This girl here is being a bit naughty. He needs to smack her ass as well. So you better behave yourselves. I'm watching." So, anything else? And it's always 0 point Aries, because that's the first house. Aries, is it not? There's more to it, obviously. Other names is Erin. So the sun, in essence, is who you are. That's you. Now, Jason of Arcades calls it an errant. It's not an errant, it's errant. So this is the original term. Brahman. If you've studied the Vedics, they talk about Brahma being in people, and people always moving to emanate Brahma within the self. But it's also, the old term for it is arahant. And I think it's used in the Bible. So, you know, it all starts to make sense when you start taking on this. So if you get from this guy, you need to know that you are well on the path, a lot further than you could ever imagine. And that's probably due to the fact you're judging where you are based on La La Land. How are you fitting in with that? Do you want to fit in with that? Do you? I mean, no. Come on. I mean, it's easy for me. I've never wanted to fit in with it because it's full of garbage. But I know most people, it's difficult to unplug. So you've got Erin, Madonna, Isis, you know, all these names of these goddesses, this main goddess everywhere you get. Freya. This is Mother Mary coming to pick up her offspring, his son, and sorted out. He also goes through data showing that, and it's true, because if you, like, when you're having offspring, if you want a female, make sure you're fit. The male has to be as fit as he can be. Then you'll be pumping out females. When you're not as fit as you should be, a male will appear. Right? Tells you, does it not, that the feminine energy here is the creative force. And that's been my experience in all my days doing this. Well, let's say, yeah, all my days doing this, that the God force, as you want to call it, is female. Absolutely 100%. Nothing comes down here except through the female. So the more of a patriarchal religion you are, the more inverse you are of the creation. And that's just a fact. A fact of reality. Not because Shawnee Boy says. It's a fact. And this guy will help you to start to understand why that's the case, rather than believing why that's the case. So the cleanse in Egypt, which is what this is, began in 2020. Remember, that's when they kicked off this bug stuff. Was called the 7 Scorpions of Isis. 7 chakras. The scorpions are cleansing, are they not? He says that Pluto can be seen as your father, the heavenly father, and on the Egyptian stuff, it's leading you, the sun, to have your heart weighed, which is what's going on here in this Phoenix rising. So in this time now, the more you can cleanse yourself, the more you can bring yourself in tune with yourself. And we've only got, you're busy. Now, he also speaks about how Ceres is the harvester, which is tied into this, goes retrograde in just actually now mid-July, and that's when the Nile floods. So she's now in retrograde. So from January up to mid-July, Ceres, the harvester, is working forward. So you're building, a bit like with the sun, Easter, spring, plant, lot. And then she goes retrograde until January. So everything that you've been given in this time from January has set you off on the path for the rest of this year that you need to deal with to cleanse yourself. Yeah? So we're on fixed timelines here, folks. Forget 240 for now. Let's deal with now to April next year. All about you. You and the ones that you love. To encourage to look at the life this way and move the life this way, because it's exceptionally important. And that then pretty much covers what I wanted to put out about Claudio Salviggio. What a guy. What a guy. You must go and visit his channel. Now, what are you saying? And if you've got any questions, because I've run out of stuff to say, let's have them. Third candle lager watching the stream, Sean. I often thought I might have a Peroni while I'm doing a live stream, but that could get extremely silly. Because I don't drink and I can get quite giddy pissed, so I'll not do that. It might be fun though. Maybe I'll do it around a campfire one time. And we'll have a campfire shindig and drink. And let's see how stupid we can get. Because that's good fun, isn't it? Laughing's always good. Claudio who? Claudio Solved... Oh, I forgot. I meant to write it down. Wait a minute, I can find it. Just give us a sec. I'm going to put the link under this video as soon as we've finished so you can crack on. Oh, that's sent CPU bananas. It's called Claudio Silvaggi or Silvaggi. I can't even put it up in chat for you guys because it's. I think I need to go back to the drawing board with these Streamlabs and start again, because I do think the problems I'm having is me. It's not to do with Streamlabs, it's me. Chief Executive is Sian Curley, has been Chief Executive. Is that in Lancashire? I'm speaking to you. Is that in Lancashire? Or does that cover? So, is that... Thanks, Linda. And blessings to all of you. That's all I can say. Where were I then? So Chief Executive is Cyanker. Is this of all the PCCs or Lancashire? Nope. What is it then? Are you telling me there's only one office that controls all the PCCs? If you were telling me that, that's fantastic. You must send me that data via email, please. That needs to go somewhere, rapido. I'm glad it's been a good chat. All PCCs are separate offices. And does that incorporate all the PCCs are setting up? Or does each region have one? That's what I'm trying to find out of you there, eh? So is it one office controls all, or have they got individual offices in every single area? What do you think power generation for the future? What do you think? What do you think power generation for the future? What do you mean by that? What do you think power generation for the future? Cyan is currently Vice Chair of the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners, Chief Executives and professional body which represents Chief Executives of PCC's offices in England. You're a gem, you, mate. See how everything's pulling together. It's so important that we do all work together like this. Claudio does a Ken Wheeler study group. Well, Ken's... If you haven't studied Transcendentalism and the Eastern philosophies, Ken's an odd listen. But if you are aware of that stuff, the guy would be classed as a master in that tradition, without a shadow of a doubt. And I studied it for a long time. I did. And one of the mantras of Transcendentalism was, get up every morning and drop dead. As though you're starting a brand new life every morning. You're not carrying the baggage from the past. You're brand spanking new. Everything's a brand new experience. And that is one of the major tenets of it. Ray? Hey Ray, is that Claudio's shindig? Thanks for that, matey. Right, excellent. So there you are, Ray's put it up for you. I strongly suggest you spend the week watching them videos. The guy's brilliant. And if you're into astrology, and if you've studied all the ancient stuff, just texts, scripts, this guy's going to be one bunch of keys for you. I'm telling you, he really is. Thanks for that, Ray. So, any questions, you guys? Let's have a bit of a Q&A. Why not? If there's law questions you want to clear up, and I can clear them up, I will do. Yeah, give him some subscriptions, because this guy's good. He's really good. And they've been doing it for a little while, I think. Crack on. He's good. He's absolutely fantastic. You'll gain. You'll nothing but gain from this fella. It's rock and roll. It's rock and roll. Put another dime in the jukebox. Anyway. No questions, so you're all shit. Or are you all tired? Because it's like 25 to 11. Each force has OPCC. Yeah, right. So each force has its OPCC office, separate entity to force where PCC works. From that as its own chief executive officer. Wow. This is genius stuff you're finding there, mate. And I don't know why I've not found this. Or, you know, it's like you focus into something and that's all you focus to. What do you like to do other than YouTube? Other than YouTube. Well, let's put it this way. If I'm not working building, I'm studying. It's as simple as that. Every minute of every day that I'm not grafting, if I'm not eating, I'm grafting, I'm studying, I'm absorbing. And then hopefully pulling it together well and presenting it here with the backdrop of info and data I already have at my call off the Akashic. But what do I like to do? Kayaking. I don't do shooting anymore. What else do I do? Cycling, I like cycling. Walking, I do a lot of walking, hiking. I like that a lot. What else do I like? Write music. So the tune that I'm going to put on at the end of here again, which you've heard. If you're listening, what I'm actually doing with you here is I'm including you in the writing of a song. So there's nothing added this week, but next week there might be a little addition. So I'm inviting you to follow with me as I write this tune. How a tune comes together. So bear in mind that this tune sounds like it sounds now, but it only takes something else and it can completely change the whole ethos of it. It's that music's that I love playing with music, and it's come back to me like a bat out of hell. So I love writing music. I have to be careful, because if I start writing music, the entire world can sod off, and 3 months can pass, and I haven't gone anywhere. So if I'm ever fasting, it's usually when I'm writing music, because 3-4 days can go past, and I haven't eaten anything. It's just that intense when you're playing with that. So I love doing that. What else do I like? I used to do sub-aqua, water skiing. I used to love motocross. I had a lot of motorbikes when I was a youngster. Swimming. I was a great swimmer. I like diving off high cliffs. Love that. We were getting into hang gliding. So this is before, obviously, I met my future wife, or who was going to be my wife then. We were just about to get into hang gliding. So the theory were, one of the lads were going to read the book, we were going to buy it together, and I were going to jump off Pendle Hill and hope for the best. So that was the plan. Last time I saw this particular guy, he had something to show me. He took me in his back, and he bought himself a Russian helicopter jet engine. And I'm like, what the hell are you going to do with that? And he went, I don't know. I said, well, I'm not testing it. So obviously I'm getting older now, so I'm not as excitable as I used to be. But basically, if it were fun, pushing the edge, and class is a little bit naughty, you can pretty much guarantee I've had a bash at it at some point. But anything that's exciting, anything that's extreme, adventurous, I love it. But I'll say this to you, kayaking, what a way to spend a day. Because you'll see parts of the country you'd never see otherwise, because you're on a river. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And talk about keep your upper body fit. And the good thing is, you're not paying any attention whatsoever to whether you're exerting yourself or not while you're at it. You're too busy doing it. But what a good workout it is for upper body. Well, for your entire body, because you're using your entire body. Brilliant. So that. What car do I drive? I've got a V70 D5. They're like shit off a rocking horse. They're absolutely fast as 10. Nobody cares about them. So nobody's robbing them. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody gives a monkeys about the Volvos. You've got to get one before 05 though. Or you're into all the when Ford bought it and screwed it up. What became of Growing Tobacco? Funny enough, I actually emptied, because I haven't unpacked for, well, it's not 6 years now. Since 2014, I haven't unpacked. I've lost 95% of all my possessions in the time. I've got, I think, 6 plastic boxes of stuff to my name. And I'm not bothered. I almost said that I lost my library, because that was huge. And I had a lot of very, very expensive and interesting old books. I weren't into these new modern books. I were old books. Everything were old. The older the better. And I had some really old books. That I miss, because for reference, the books I had were phenomenal. Just for reference even, But yeah, that's gone. But Growing Tobacco, we're emptying actually the bag that I put all the seeds in. So bit by bit, I unpacked some. So I've only just moved. I had all my boxes in my kitchen. Don't ask me why. There's bedrooms upstairs they can go in. But I've only just got rid of them this week. I'm not very good at this moving, malarkey. It takes me ages to settle. And then just when I've settled, I'm off. It's pissing me off. I feel like a nomad. And I don't like it. that much. But I have unpacked, moved that upstairs, and the bag. So I haven't done any this year, but I've got about 14 million seeds. If you ever wanted any, I can't give you a bloody address. Anyway, but I have got some, but I haven't done any this year because obviously I've moved. Paragliding. Yeah, I have a mate that does that, and he reckon he could set me up for 600 quid for a good gig of it. And I might do that. I'll tell you what I am looking at doing in a bit, my next phase. And that's if one of my sons doesn't come up with another idea, because once they come up with an idea, we get excited, buy everything and go and do it. And then sometimes it doesn't get done for about 25 years, but we have the gear. But I'd like to do that kite surfing. I go to Southport Beach quite a lot just for a good walk. And these lads, they just pull up, wet scoot on, bag out, kite, surfboard gone, and they're out, and they're whizzing about on these thingies. It's, I think, that's brilliant, and not much of a setup. So yeah, where are we on? So V70 tanks, aren't they? So if you're going to want to crash me, that's fine. I'll crash into you all day. I don't really care. I don't care a toss. What became of going? Yeah, we've done that one. Paragliding. Yeah, I fancy a bit of that, you know. I suppose if I ever bought the gear, I'd be straight off Pendle at Copies on Quarry. BWM, never get pulled. What's a BWM? I don't like BMWs, if that's what you're talking about. I prefer Audis. If I'm truthful, the BMWs for me, I don't feel like I'm part of the car. It feels like it's its own machine and I'm just in it. Where I like to feel like the car is just an extension of me when I get in it. Volvos are made for the motorway. They're only happy when you're doing 130, 140. They like that. Far better than 70. They do like that. I do drive exceptionally fast when I'm on the motorway. I get in that outside lane, and wherever I'm going, you'll not get me out of it. That's just the way I drive. And the Volvos are super for that. They're good on fuel, because if you don't put your foot down, they don't get excited with fuel. But I don't like BMWs. They're lovely cars to look at. They're beautiful cars to look at. And the M3s and such are mighty machines. But you just don't feel like it's an extension of you. The Audis do, for some reason. I like the Audis. I think if I were after an Audi, I'd be after the RS3. Because it would appear the S-lines come together in they're built for the S3. So the RS3 I'd like if I were going for that. Obviously, if I were going for a car I really wanted, I'd be on for Porsche Turbo S, because that just seems to wipe the floor with everything. If I'm going for a big one, I'd probably want the Rolls Royce. You know, like the Discoveries and all that. The bigger, I like the Rolls Royce ones, but I know they're a bit expensive. I also like the Lexus ones. They're nice. Yeah, what else would I like? But yeah, I do like the Porsche 911 Turbo S. They're quick. I like the Audis, but I'm stuck with a Volvo. But I'm not. I say stuck with it. They are a fantastic car when they're working properly. However, I'm having quite a few problems with mine at the moment. So I don't know what to do. Whether to part company or get it in and have it done up. Squirrel suit for me flying about. Well, I'll tell you now. If that had been out when I was younger, that base jumping and all that, and that flying in suits, I'd have been on that. Make no mistake about it, I'd be doing that. And I might actually have a bash before I pop my clogs. In fact, I might choose that as to be the way I pop my clogs. You know what I'm saying? I might do. Citroen, well, I have to be honest. One of the best cars I ever had were a Citroen Zara Estate 1.9 diesel. I think it were a special. What an absolutely amazing car. The only thing with Citroens is the wiring in them is so cheap. You get to about 9 years on and the entire car stops working because all the wiring's knackered. So that's the only thing I can say against Citroen. Vans, it'd have to be a tranny type big thing, and they're no good for builders, the little ones. If you're going to get a van, you need to get a tranny at least. You spent your life fossicking for gemstones and gold in Australia. Can't do it now with big pastoral leases, mining claims and national parks taking the land. Well, I could see if I were in Australia, I think that's what I'd be doing, Gary, for sure. I've been looking into gold mining for a long time because if I were going to invest, I wouldn't be investing in shocks. Gold itself, I'd be investing in gold mines. And there's a lot coming up for sale in Canada at the moment. Police have policy not to stop BMW cars. Are you sure, lad? I don't know, but I'd be surprised. I mean, I've seen BMWs get pulled over. They shouldn't be pulling any cars over, lad. It's none of the business what you're doing in your property on the highway. None whatsoever. Those are your rights. It's a choice that you can be, man, using your property on the highway. So when these Johnny come lately say, oh no, got the grammar. We've got the grammar. You can enforce your right of choice, is what we're saying with that video yesterday. That's why it's so important. Yeah, I'd definitely be doing that, Gary, if I were in Oz, looking for the old gold. Absolutely. Got to be safe, learn to fly on ground first. Well, in it for a penny, in it for a pen has always been my motto. If I'm going to do something, crack on. But I always read up on it first. And yeah, you're right, I'd get a bit of a fix. But my guess is if you're 20 foot up, you can die. So really, you have more chance of surviving if you get 100 foot up, haven't you, if you're having a problem. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Potholing all the time. So back in the day, what would I be, 17, 16, I got a motorbike on the road because obviously I had crosses, so I used to motorbikes. Had this beautiful machine, 125 electric start, beautiful looking machine, it was a Suzuki. 125 I think, and so I had this bike for about 3 months, not a scratch on it, not a scratch, it was perfect. And then one Saturday morning, knock on the door. My mate, he got one. Well, that was it. So I got on mine, he got on his. Within 3 seconds of us setting off, I'd thrown it all over the road, scratched all my fairings and everything. And I just thought, here we go, this is how it's going to be. And we just raced and raced and raced all over the shop. But what we used to do on a Sunday, you remember them right big Tandy torches? Yeah? So we'd stick it on under the seat strap, off we go to Riverhead, motorbike helmet on, Doc Martens, leather jacket. And when you get there, and there'd all be these experts, these big groups of experts with all lights on and all gear. And I remember the first time we went up, we'd gone up and there were this big team. And there were some going in at this end and you could see to the other end about half a mile and they were coming out. So we get up to this one and we're like, all right, and if this guy's it'll take you about 3/4 of an hour to get through it. It's rather difficult, blah, blah, blah. We said, cheers, mate. Got past them, off we went. Took us 5 minutes. We just waltzed right through it, come out to the end. We're coming out to the end and all these old gear, I'm looking at us going, oh, how disgusting. How dare they come down here with a torch and a motorbike helmet to make us look stupid. So yeah, we went potholing all over the shop. But I used to enjoy, I'll tell you what, the best sport I've ever done is sub-aqua. I mean, I've dived every single lake in the Lake District. There were 3 of us as mates and we had capacity, money. One of the lads had, he had workshops, etc. And they had a big capacity. And whatever we wanted to do, we'd make it. We'd build it. So we'd started this diving. We were already going up lakes, water skiing. So we decided to start diving. We started diving. So then we built a motorhome specifically for crossers, shotguns, diving equipment, yeah, etc. So we purpose built it. So I go out on a Friday night. They'd knock me up at 5 in the morning. I'd be absolutely plastered. They'd just throw me in the van. Off they'd go. I'd wake up in Lake District, completely hungover, kit on. Within 2 minutes of being underwater, your hangover's completely gone. 20 ton of snots come out of your system and you're away, you're fine. And we did that for about 3 years. And we bought, so then we got a dive dinghy. Then we got a sonar on it because we were starting to salvage. Because a lot of the Lake Districts, a lot of boats only had think up to something like 8 horsepower. They're just clamped onto boats while they're always falling off. It only needs you only need to change head gasket and give them a clean, and they're back. And back then, I think they were 250 quid a pop if you picked them up. So we were heavily getting into that. And then we were doing hang gliding as well, and then I met me what would be my future wife, and obviously all playing out to stop. That was the end of Shawnee Way being an adventurer. But yeah, Port Holland is tons of it. Tons of it. Loved it as well. I used to love taking new people in and then getting them halfway in and then turning the lights off and running off. That used to tickle us quite a lot. Yeah. Mines, we were always looking for mine shafts. Stuff like we used to dig our own mines if we couldn't find one. Dams, we used to build dams on rivers, stuff like that. We'd spend like a week just building a dam, and that was it. We'd build it and then off, something else. Whatever we felt to do, we did. Windermere, yeah. You couldn't, well, if plankton were blooming, you couldn't see nothing. So the best time to go diving in the lakes is like end of August, September. And you can actually get up to mid-November because even though the weather's changing, the water is still quite warm. If you want to go past that, then you've got to get into the dry suit. And that's actually what stopped me from furthering that. The dry suits of the day were like 600-700 quid, and we were saving up for an house, so that's when I pulled the plug on that. But yeah, I mean, most lakes, if I'm truthful, it's silt. It's just silt, and you've got 2 holes, about about 2 foot apart, and that's where all eels live. So tails out one end, heads out the other, and then you can come across these beautiful parts where it's rock. Amazing under there. And there were a place called Hodge Close, which is a quarry. So you're walking along top, there's a 100-foot drop to this big hole. The only way into it is abseiling or go right round and come through a tunnel that they've blasted. And then you get into there and it's about 120 foot. There's a cave system at bottom. It's where old people up in Cumbria used to take all nick cars when they joyrided them in 80s. So once they'd had the joyride, they'd send it off Hodge Close. And I remember XR2i had just come out, and one of the lads that were with us, he'd just bought to sell a brand new XR2i. What did we find when we get to the bottom? A brand new XR2i. So you can imagine. Yeah, the cave systems down there as well, they were interesting, but rather a bit scary, if I'm honest. But yeah, all the lakes. Wasswater, which is the deepest lake in England. I think it's 250 foot. Now that's something else when you get in there, because you're getting down to 100 foot and it's as clear as a bell. And that's when you can start to recognise the immensity of water above you. Yeah, I mean, you panic in them situations, and you're in some big trouble. So you've got to keep a strong head. It's a bit like cycling. You focus when you're doing these mountain biking. You focus. As long as you focus to what you're doing, you'll manage everything. It only takes a split second for you to be distracted and you're off. You lose that momentum. Same in diving. There's no way can you panic. I think you've got a point here. Where were we? A motorhome. Yeah, I've always wanted to go around the entire coast and the British Isles in a motor caravan. Or bed and breakfast in it. But I think a motor caravan would be a bit more fun, wouldn't it? With toys. You'd have to have some kind of toys in there to play with. But yeah, I'd love to do that. That's something I haven't done. Cornwall, I adore Cornwall. Lake District, I love Lake District. Southport, the vibe on the beach everywhere is fantastic. I love that place. We've been Great Yarmouth and all that side. Suffolk, I quite like Suffolk. Suffolk's got a nice vibe to it. So as well, and how it was. So we're digging opals. Well, there's a lot out there, isn't there? But you can go out rivers, can't you, Gary? I mean, there's still lads doing it over there in Oz. I watch them. And if you know what you're doing, you can pick up gold, can't you? Because it's rich with it over your end. Cockermouth. All right. It's safer in the air than on the ground. Well, I mean, if you're fearful, you're only going to be getting some skipping ropes, aren't you? That's about as far as you're going to get. You can't have fear going on if you're taking up a sport, can you? If you want to do it right. And me, I'm just kind of guy. Whatever I'm into, it gets my all, every cent. And that's how you get good at things, isn't it? It's how you can appreciate these things then. Yeah, loads of opal hunting. Right, an engagement ring. Okay. So A, can you send me that info that you've picked up there? lifeinthemix22@yahoo.com, please. It would be most. Now somebody sent me something tonight, but it's because I can't use the browsers. It's an email and it's interesting about gold and Stonyhurst. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to give the Streamlabs some attention this week so that I can get it in some kind of order, because it does improve things if you can see what it is I'm reading. Let's be fair. Alright, so... Well, chaps, thanks for joining me. I hope, again, that's given you something, but honestly, I can't stress enough. Go and check out Claudio, give him a subscription, and start giving him some thumbs up, because his efforts need to be moved along. But more importantly, you, my comrades out there, need to absorb this stuff, because it's dynamite. It's absolute dynamite. So, people, my friends, I will say, you know it, till the next time.